Hi everyone, this is Lori here from Lori Hooks. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me today. So today is just a quick video to show you what I finished in the last week and my current whip, which is not a very exciting whip, but it's a whip nevertheless. So let's get started. So first of all, let's get started with finished objects. So here's the fun one that I finished. And this is the handmade organizer gnome, and the Etsy shop I got it from, I think it's called Natty Toys. Yes, it's called Natty Toys. I apologize, my notes are here off to my right. So now I'm going to insert a picture here of what hers looks like. And I did do a bunch of changes. So this is for me, it's just for me to keep beside my chair where I like to sit and crochet, and to keep some of my little knickknacks handy. So as you can see, I'm using her hat, as a pin cushion for my needles, both the tapestry needles and some pins that I use for amigurumi and that kind of thing. Her little bow here on her hat holds some stitch markers. You could also use her nose as a pin cushion, and then her little cup here beside her, it holds my crochet hook that I'm using currently, as well as a pair of scissors, that kind of thing. So the pattern called for arms, which I did not do. I don't really like making arms, and instead I thought maybe I will do a second cup and put it on the other side of her. That was the other thing. She's got, like, in hers, in the pattern, it's got something here, she calls it an egg. But here it's just like a little puff beside her arm, and you can use that also as a pin cushion. I don't think I need that many pin cushions. If anything, maybe an extra cup. So I'll see how I use her and whether or not I feel like she needs an extra cup, and if she does, then I will make one and add it to it. As for the pattern, and other changes, I did do a couple other minor changes. I did the bottom slightly differently. I did do a row of stipple stitch here, which the pattern did not call for. It called for a different type of base for the bottom. As I previously mentioned, I didn't do the arms. I added an extra round to her nose. It wouldn't make it bigger, but it would make it a little thicker, because I add an extra row to the rounds where you work up to the size, and then you do so many rounds of the largest number of stitches in the round, and then you decrease. I add an extra row on there. And my hat came out too big. I don't know if it's the pattern or if it's me, my tension or something like that, but my hat came out too big. So I ended up having to frog out probably the last, I don't know, 6 rows or something like that, reducing the number of stitches. I increased a little bit slower, left it so that there was a few less stitches and a couple less rounds, so that her hat felt a little better, because it was much too big the way that it was. So that is my handmade organizer, and I really like her. I think she's really cute, and as always, I will link the pattern in the description box below if you're interested. When I purchased it, it was like 70 or 80% off, and the pattern was like $3 Canadian. It was not expensive. And it's a fun little make if you're interested. So that is finished object number 1. I started that one on Saturday. I went to my parents for the weekend, and I started it on Saturday at some point during the day, and I worked on it most of the time while I was there. I didn't work on anything else. I wanted something small to bring with me, and that's what I brought. Oh, I forgot to mention yarn. So the yarn I used for this is Sheepy's Katona. The colors, the pink is Shocking Pink. The gray for the body is Mercury. The nose is Shell. The hat is Vivid Blue. And the tie on her hat is Bridal White. Her braids, I just used some white acrylic that I had, white 4-weight acrylic that I had around. Cut a few strips off the length specified in the pattern, braided them up. I didn't do as many because the yarn that she was using was the same as the yarn she used for the portion of the gnome. I don't even remember what yarn she used in her pattern. I used the Sheepy's Katona because that's what I like to use. But I just cut off some 4-weight acrylic. I don't remember if there was maybe 9 or 12 pieces, and then braided them together to make her braids and sewed it on as per the instructions. So she's a fun little make. Oh, that was the other thing. She had some embroidery here on the cup. I don't really like doing embroidery. If she did it more like cross stitch, so it probably wouldn't have been that easy, but I wanted a little organizer, and I didn't think that she needed all that extra embellishment, and I think that she's cute. The other thing I wanted to mention is this cup comes out to be the right size, using Sheepy's Katona and a 2.75 millimeter hook. That a toilet paper roll just fits in here. I cut it so that it was half the height, and then it fits in here just perfectly to give this some stabilization. I don't think she mentioned doing that in the pattern, but I thought that because the toilet paper roll fit and it worked out perfectly, I thought that was a good idea. So that is Miss Gnome. So the other thing that I finished is this is the triangle eyelet shawl, I think it's called. Let me get the book out. So this is, yes, the eyelet triangle shawl, and this is by Hooked by Robin. And this is the shawl finished. One side does look a little nicer than the other. That's the side that I like. That's it completed. She's got these nice picot stitches around the edges. This was a free pattern on her blog. It's a 2-row repeat. Works up pretty fast. Her pattern called for a DK weight yarn. I used cinnamon swirl cakes. And the color that I use is hibiscus, and I used a 6 millimeter hook because of the larger yarn. I've forgotten what her pattern called for, but again, it was a DK weight, so it would have been an appropriate hook for a DK weight yarn. And I did follow her pattern to the T, other than the yarn changes, except for I thought it needed an extra row here along the top, so I did a row of double crochets across the top just to finish it off. My intention was to use the full 2 cakes that I had of the cinnamon swirl cakes. I have probably about maybe a quarter of the second cake left. I didn't think that I had enough yarn left to do the 2 rows of repeat and the picot stitches, so I cut it off where I did. Looking at how much I have left now, I probably didn't really need to end then, but it is what it is. I wasn't tearing out that picot row and redoing and adding 2 more rows. I'll just have a little bit of leftover to use for something else. So that is my 2 finished objects for this week. I enjoyed both of these. They were, good things to work on, well-written patterns that I enjoyed. So the other thing that I started, which is a whip, I hadn't knit anything lately, and I wanted to make a little something for a friend, and I figure people can always use dishcloths. So I started this knit dishcloth. This is just what they call a simple dishcloth. The pattern's available everywhere. You can YouTube it, whatever. It's available everywhere. It's a basic knit dishcloth, and you just do increases and decreases and work it as a diamond shape, which of course comes out to be a diamond or a square when it's done. The yarn that I used is this Lily Sugar and Cream, and the color I am using is Over the Rainbow. So I think I'll probably make this one, finish this one off, and make her another dishcloth of another color, and just a little something for a friend. The only other thing that I've been working on this week, which I am not going to show you today, is earlier this week I posted a video called Hooked on Wreaths, which is a collab that I am doing with Rebecca over at Yarn and Pajamas. I have been working on my wreath. I am not going to show it today. I will only be showing it on the Hooked on Wreaths updates. If you haven't checked out that video or seen that video, and if you haven't checked out Rebecca, I will include a link for Rebecca's channel as well as a link for the playlist for the Hooked on Wreaths collaboration that I'm doing with her. And that will be in the description box below. So that is my week. So I hope that, well, upcoming, I need to finish my wreath. Well, continue on my wreath. I don't need to finish it. I have till the first day of spring, which is March 21st, to get it done. So to continue to work on my wreath, as I want to finish that dishcloth and make another one. I have some few other patterns that I'm looking at, and got some yarn out, so I might work on one of them as well. I need another mindless project to work on. But yeah, I also have like 1,000 whips that I could dig out and work on, which would be a smart thing to do, but I always like starting new things. I think we all have a little case of startitis going, don't we? Anyways, if you'd like to tell me about what you're working on in the comments below, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments on the projects that I've worked on, please feel free also to comment in the description box below. I love hearing from you all. I didn't mention it, but I do have some new subscribers. If this is your first visit to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I so appreciate you spending a little bit of your time with me, and if you'd like to like and share this video, I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time on Lori Hooks. Bye everyone.